She wants my boyfriend to buy different flowers so she can post on social media. So my boyfriend buys me really unique bouquets, arrangements of flowers every now and then, and sends them to my office. It always goes to the receptionist first, as she has to check in all deliveries. So one day she calls me up, says I have a gift at the front, so I head downstairs. I go to grab them and she asks me to wait and back up so she can get the perfect picture of them. I was confused, but I let her take a pic because they were beautiful. I see on her Snapchat she took a pic of them, captioning it, "Thanks so much, babe, I love the flowers." I mean, whatever. That's pathetic, but who cares? She's known to do that all the time. Take pics of other people's cars, jewelry, etc., and claim it as her own on social media. Anywho, I get another call months later for a gift at the front. Now this time I go down and she is picking out the flowers she doesn't like. I ask her what the hell she is doing and she says she wants to take another pic but doesn't really like the arrangement this time. And maybe next time he should just get roses. I snatched the flowers away and told her off because, wow, maybe buy your own flowers then. After writing this out, it seems pretty stupid to get as heated as I did at that moment. But I was so shocked she didn't find anything wrong with what she was doing. I've been wanting to rant about that for a while, lol. Story 2. CB claims a medical emergency is no excuse for canceling his free demo. This actually happened on one of my days off, and I heard this from my coworkers that were there to witness it. So I can't say all the details are accurate, but I know the broad strokes of the story are true. A few years ago, I worked at a little shop that is best described as a retro toy store. It sold all kinds of old toys, but its bread and butter were marbles. In order to get people in the door, we had glass artists come in and demonstrate on how they make marbles by hand. One of these glass artists was also one of the store's co-owners. Being a natural showman, he learned how to work with glass just so he could do the demos himself and put on a show for his customers. These demos were, of course, free. And as I'm sure we all know, when you offer something for free, that's when the CBs start coming out of the woodwork. One morning when we were setting up for the day, we got a call from the co-owner's wife. Apparently, he had suffered a heart attack and was currently in the hospital. Everyone was understandably concerned, but his wife assured us he seemed to be doing fine at the moment. She went on to explain that he would need to take some time off, and he definitely wouldn't be coming in that day. Once we got over the initial shock, we started figuring out who would need to do what to make up for his absence. The biggest and most immediate issue for the store was that he was scheduled to do the marble-making demonstrations for that day. The other co-owner called the other glass artists to see if they could fill in for him last minute, but they were unavailable. So, with no other options left, she decided to cancel the demonstrations for that day. Unfortunately, it was the middle of summer, our busiest time of year. Before the store was even open, there was a line of people outside the door waiting to see the first demonstration. We opened up and very politely explained to everyone waiting that we wouldn't be having any demos that day because the owner had a medical emergency that morning and wasn't able to come in. And almost everyone was completely understanding and sympathetic. They still came in, did some shopping, and we made sure to demo plenty of toys and games for the kids to play with. Things actually went pretty smoothly for most of the day, all things considered. That's when the CB arrived. In walks a man with his wife and 5 children. He pushes through the other customers to the counter where my coworker is stationed and demands to know when the next demo is starting. My coworker politely tells him what we've been telling other customers all day. "Sorry, sir, but the owner had a medical emergency and wasn't able to come in to do the demonstrations today. So unfortunately, we've had to cancel them. But you are free to take a look around the store if you like. We have some games your children can try in the other room." But he wasn't having it. He starts going off on my coworker about how he and his whole family drove all the way from Mudunkalunka to see how marbles get made, and that it isn't fair that they don't get a free demo. He then starts asking things like, "Is the owner the only one who does it? Can't you get someone else?" My coworker explains to him that we tried and that no one was available. Our manager was nearby helping other customers, but was still keeping an eye on the situation, ready to handle things if my coworker decided to call her over. That's when she heard the CB say something that pushed her over the edge. I don't know what his exact words were, but it was something to the effect of, "How bad could this medical emergency even be?" As soon as she heard that, she immediately marched over to him and said, "Sir, I don't think you heard her earlier, so let me make this very clear. The owner had a heart attack this morning. That's why he couldn't come in. That's why we aren't able to do demonstrations today. I'm very sorry if that's an inconvenience for you." There was a moment of stunned silence while the CB took some time to process what had just happened. He looked around at the other customers who were looking at him. He looked at his family, who were all looking at him. Then, in a huff, he collected his kids and stormed out, and everybody clapped. Okay, that's not true. Nobody clapped. In fact, as my coworkers tell it, it was pretty awkward afterward, and you could cut the tension in the room with a knife. I guess seeing a grown man getting brutally dressed down in public is an uncomfortable thing to witness. But it did leave me with a very important lesson. When you take a Saturday off during the busiest time of year, you risk missing out on seeing some of the best customer meltdowns. Story 3. Life as a flea market worker. I help my parents sell company return items in a flea market, and I wanted to share some of the most annoying and funny interactions. Even though items are labeled as returns, sometimes they can be overstock or canceled orders, and they are still sealed or in pristine condition. I always test the items before I bring them to the market or I sell them dirt cheap and inform the customer that I do not know the condition of the item. This one happened today, and I didn't really know what to say to her. Karen was looking at the headphones I was selling and sees that I have Apple AirPods. And she asked me if they were real, and I told her that the ones she was pointing were real, and I have fake ones on the other side. Some people don't want to spend that much on a headphone, which is understandable. That is why I have the fake ones. She looked at me disgusted and said, I don't want those fake ones. How much are the real ones?" I told her that they were $80, and she got pissed for some reason. She said word by word, "No headphones should be that expensive. $20, take it or leave it." At this point, I was kinda annoyed because I live in Texas, and it is not fun to spend 8+ hours in that heat and argue with stupid people. I told her that I sell the fake ones for that much, and there is no way I am selling them for $20. FYI, the AirPods were second-gen ones, and they were open box new. The wrapping paper around the headphone was still there, and it had 3 months of warranty left. She ughed and started to look at the other headphones I have, and saw the Powerbeats Pros, which are the second most expensive headphones I have. The first one being Sony WH-1000 XM4s. She asked me if I could do $20 for that one. I told her that since they are still sealed, I am asking $150 for those, and she had a shocked face. She left angrily, and I didn't see her again, fortunately. Sorry for the bad formatting. English isn't my first language. I know it isn't very entertaining, but I have at least 30, 40 stories like that. Let me know if you want to hear them.